Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video we are going to be taking a look at the power, control and rebirth of those of you who have Pluto within your 7th house in your natal birth chart, along with those of you who have the sign of Scorpio ruling your 7th house within your birth chart as well. Though I would also like to highlight that this video may just resonate for those of you who happen to have your Venus within the sign of Scorpio as well. But before we do get into this, make sure that you give this video a like if you like it. Also make sure to subscribe if you have not already, and to click that little bell icon in order to keep yourself updated with further content from myself. And one more just quick thing to mention: if you would like to know more information all about your Pluto sign, your Pluto house, along with your Scorpio house and your 8th house within your chart, then I have created a Scorpio season/archetype ebook. So what I am going to do is I'm going to provide a link to that ebook in the description box below so that you can pick up your copy today if you would like. Okay, so with all those introductions out of the way, Pluto in the 7th house and Scorpio ruling the 7th house individuals, let's do this. Okay, so if you have Pluto within your 7th house or Scorpio ruling your 7th, so on the descendant, and also Venus in Scorpio, then what this suggests is that you're attracted to partners that are powerful, seductive, erotic, passionate, and kind of hard to figure out and somewhat mysterious. You might be unconsciously seeking after relationships that are profound and intimate and emotionally captivating. The types of relationships that get you all amped up and hot under the collar. Relationships that crack you open and expose all of your vulnerabilities. Relationships that really move you from within yourself, and they tap into your deepest, wildest desires and passions, and also your buried emotions. I gotta say, this type of relationship sounds exhilarating and tumultuous. It sounds like something that would require a lot of your energy and a lot of your resources, and sure enough, this might be exactly what happens within your one-on-one relationships. For better or for worse, of course, which we're going to get into throughout this video. But with that being said, what I want to do is I want to break this down a little bit, and I want to take you back to your upbringing to sort of assess just potentialities of relationships that you experienced whenever you were younger. So, is it possible that your perceptions of relationships were molded and shaped by power struggles, or by very hot and cold, or love me, love you, hate you dynamic? For example, maybe one moment your parents were loved up and in each other's arms, but then the next moment they were at each other's throats. Or perhaps you watched as a parental figure would sit there cold or uninterested and just quite reserved and to themselves, but then the next moment they were very passionate and they were abrupt and they were just letting out all of this steam and all of this raw emotion. And so in this respect, perhaps there was a lot of emotional complexes that resulted in a lot of uncertainty. Maybe even there were disputes over finances, or even quite controlling and manipulative behaviors played out between your parents. Or maybe you observed as your parents, they kept secrets from each other, or quite possibly there was a breaking up or a dismantling of your parents' relationships. Whether this be from them divorcing, separating, or just, you know what, deciding to call it quits. And even if it was that your parents decided to stay together, perhaps you still witnessed this extreme back and forth, leading to not the most balanced or harmonious dynamics playing out. Then again, it could even quite possibly be here, Pluto in the 7th house, Scorpio ruling the 7th house individuals, that you lost a parental figure due to death growing up, resulting in power struggles for the other parent who was still alive. Maybe this parental figure was grieving a lot, or maybe they felt very, very stressed out, but they essentially had to hold it together for the family. And following on from this point, could even quite possibly be that a certain step parent then came into the picture, and perhaps that step parent was actually controlling and manipulative and maybe even quite greedy and possessive towards your parent. Now, of course, these are just some suggestions as to how things may or may not have played out whenever you were younger. Though following on from this point, it could even quite possibly be that these things that I've explained were much more correlated with close relatives to you, or even close friends that close friendships that you established whenever you were growing up even. So in this respect, maybe there were certain unions and connections that you experienced during your younger years that resulted in you just sort of diminishing your own power or keeping yourself back, or maybe there was a lot of suspicion, again, control. Though whichever way this played out, maybe you buried some emotions associated with what you experienced growing up. Or maybe you made a subconscious commitment to yourself that said, I'm not going to let somebody else control or dominate me. Or maybe you even have a subconscious notion that you won't let anybody close to you because that way others can't hurt you. So in this respect, maybe you threw the likes of intimacy, trust, and closeness into the most distant and far removed parts of yourself. Now, you might do a few different things whenever you sort of start to recognize yourself being somewhat connected or pulled in by a particular partner. So you might reject these emotions that you feel, or you cut them off and you hide away, for example, as a form of protection. Or you might play it cool, like, I got this, I'm in control, I'm not gonna give too much away. Or you might have this all-in attitude where you're in it and there's just no going back, and you almost just, all of your energy is just pouring out into that particular relationship dynamic due to this insatiable attraction that you have towards this individual, or that sort of grasp that they have on you. However, what you might actually experience or come to realize within your one-on-one relationships are these power struggles and the hot and cold exchange that plays out. So an example of this may translate into toxic indecision, where you and your partner break up and then you get back together, then you break up and then you get back together again. On the other hand, maybe a little separation is what you both need during that time or within the relationship. Though another manifestation of this could be you pushing your partner away as a way to test their loyalty to you, or as a way to see how much you really mean to them. Then again, it could also be vice versa here. Or another possibility could even be that you may think to yourself that the partner is going to leave you at any moment, or that there's going to be some sort of outside force that's going to disrupt the relationship itself. And what this may result in is you not fully trusting, where you then keep your partner at an arm's length, but this might actually then lead on to the partner then leaving, or there may actually be an ending of the relationship. And then if they actually do leave, then this may result in you becoming quite resentful and bitter. But you know what? Maybe through these experiences, you start to recognize how hurt you feel on the inside, or you start to recognize how traumatized you've actually felt in the past. On the other hand though, from a much more evolved and mature place, perhaps you attract relationships into your life that dig deeper, Like I said at the beginning, the types of relationships that tap into your desires, your passions, your buried emotions. So for example, maybe relationships teach you a lot about what it means to truly trust someone else and how to let somebody else in and how to really be intimate with somebody else. Or maybe your relationships teach you that you can rise up above all of this emotional instability and resentment that you hold from within yourself. Or maybe your partners show you your higher purpose. So they may trigger these profound qualities within you that maybe you couldn't see on your own, such as your own personal power, again, your passions, and your ability to rise up and assert a healthy dose of control within your one-on-one relationships. Now, of course, I do understand that this can be a pretty challenging process, especially if you're not ready, or if it is in actuality that you keep on attracting partners into your life that are destructive and controlling and domineering, etc. Which, FYI, you may get into partnerships that involve possessiveness and jealousy and betrayal even. So people who play with your heart, they mistreat you, they even lie to you, or they keep secrets from you, and essentially they just destroy you and ruin you from the inside out, or at least that's how it feels. And if you have experienced these types of relationships, I can kind of see as well how this can further reinforce a lack of trust and intimacy. Though on the other hand, keeping in mind that you may be the one within these relationships being quite controlling and possessive and overpowering and so on. However, what you are coming to realize, Pluto in the 7th house, Scorpio ruling the 7th house, are these emotional complexes that you keep very much hidden. These emotions that you've buried deep down in your subconscious that maybe you don't want to address. And with the help of someone else, of course, someone that you do form that bond, and there's trust and there's honesty and there's integrity within the relationship, still with the help of this particular individual, perhaps you're giving an opportunity to address these buried emotions. Now, this doesn't have to solely be through a marriage partner or through someone that you're in a committed union with, but this could also be with the help of a close friend, a close relative, even a close business associate, or possibly even with a therapist or a counselor. So having said that, maybe you find some sort of release through what you enjoy and what it is that you deem as pleasurable. Maybe you even have a certain spiritual practice that really helps you feel renewed, or maybe beauty and fashion and music and sound and body work and art. These things get you tapping into these hidden parts of yourself. But whatever way it is that you tap into your hidden, most intimate, private areas, there are some truths to be exposed and brought to the surface here. So if it is that you've maybe been in an abusive relationship before, for example, perhaps you're learning how to go internal. Really go internal, to sit with yourself, to make peace and evolve. Or maybe if it is that you've witnessed the death of a loved one, maybe you're learning how to validate your emotions associated with the grief. Or quite possibly, if it is that you feel haunted by past relationships that you witnessed growing up, maybe you're learning how to address any emotional inner turmoil that you still hold towards these unions. Or maybe you just find it really difficult to let go of past relationships that impacted you, and so in this respect, moving on can be very, very difficult and hard for you to do. Though I think this really does depend on the impact that these relationships had on you, so the real value of those relationships, because it also could be suggested that you are also willing to cut certain relationships off as well, where you can have this mentality towards them that says they're completely dead to me. But whichever way this plays out, Pluto in the 7th house, Scorpio ruling the 7th house, it's your relationships that do really result in this deep and profound, well, these deep and profound transformations and changes and rebirths, meaning that with each and every relationship, you evolve and you gain fresh insights. So for example, maybe a new relationship does in fact really crack you open, where you start to share these very private and hidden parts of yourself, these very vulnerable parts of yourself, and then next thing you know, you have this whole attitude towards, your whole attitude towards love just changes completely, and you become so much more closer and more intimate with others. Or maybe a new relationship results in you tapping into your deepest desires and passions, and next thing you know, you're trying out certain kinks that you really would like to explore in the bedroom. Or maybe there is this new project that you really have wanted to start it for a long time, and then finally you start it. Or quite simply, with each and every relationship that begins and ends throughout your life, you gather up more control, more power from within yourself. You generate these things from within yourself, possibly leading to you establishing your higher purpose. So essentially, you keep transforming through your one-on-one relationships, and quite possibly you also learn through these experiences how to trust yourself, how to protect and defend yourself from predators, from enemies, or maybe you actually start to recognize the gain that can be found from something that you lose. And when it comes to the power struggles that you encounter within your relationships, maybe you also transform and are reborn through these experiences as well. I mean, power struggles don't have to be all negative, right? And they're kind of inevitable within our relationships. So this could be you coming to an agreement with your partner over shared resources and finances, or this could be you growing through moments that involve arguments and disagreements, or this could be you transforming through periods that involve not feeling heard or listened to or recognized. Basically, power struggles are normal in relationships and couples can grow through them. But of course, on the other hand, they can be extremely challenging as well. And there can also be the ugly qualities that come along with these power struggles, as previously mentioned. Now, like I said at the very beginning, maybe these things weren't necessarily taught to you, maybe they just weren't really shown, but the opportunity to transform is there, okay? And the opportunity to form close and trusting and intimate relationships is there. But you gotta be willing to do the work, and you gotta be willing to make the necessary changes. And I think that addressing what's going on in here, okay, within yourself, would be a good start, rather than continuously pushing other people away, testing other people's loyalties towards you, and projecting all your own inner buried emotions on other people. And also where you start to give your time and your resources and your energy to people who are not worthy of it. But you know what? To end this video on a much more positive note, whenever you do establish a relationship that involves trust and intimacy and closeness and emotional connection, or whenever you rise up and you are reborn from those phoenix ashes, well, it could be suggested that you and your partner, you become powerful together, where you both seek to understand each other on a deeper level, where you both possess a mutually committed bond that is soulful, seductive, it's passionate, it's protective, it's perceptive, it's devoted, there's integrity there. Heck, this could be a union so strong and so powerful that only death, physical death, can be the thing that keeps you apart. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video on the power, control and rebirth of those of you who have Pluto in your 7th house, and also for those of you who have Scorpio ruling your 7th house, so on the descendant within your natal birth chart. Now, if you do happen to have any of these placements, and also if you happen to have your Venus in Scorpio as well, because it can also resonate, let us know what you thought of the video in the comment section down below. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then go right ahead and click that subscribe button and make sure you give this video a like, remember, and I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!